Hello everyone, welcome to another Diecast Emporium video. Been a while, but we're back, and man, I don't know about you, but it's definitely been worth the wait. Today we're going to be doing a brief overview of the Classic Construction Models, or CCM, Caterpillar D10T2 Dozer with a Ripper. This was one of two versions released by CCM of the D10T2 back in 2015, and you may remember that I did a review of the cold version a couple years or so ago, the cold blade. So if you want to see that, you can click on the right top corner of your screen or click on the link at the end of the video. But this one will be on the standard version of the model, which has a U-Blade and a Three-Shank Ripper. Here is the serial numbered spec brochure. You can see I did buy mine secondhand, so it's not my typical serial number sequence, but that's just fine with me. I'm just happy to have one of these in the collection. 420 of these were made, and I have number 273. So I just wanted to kind of do a different style introduction for this video. We're going to pause momentarily, and when we come back, we will begin taking a look at the model. All right, before we proceed too much further into the video, I do want to mention that if you don't already know, this model is discontinued, which means you cannot get it from CCM anymore. These are actually really difficult to find, and one of the reasons for that is obviously the low number that was produced, just over 400. But also many, unfortunately, of these were damaged during shipping. So getting one that's actually an original with a serial number brochure and one that hasn't been repaired, yada, 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 is actually somewhat rare. 124 scale, it originally retailed for $694.95, which was not an insignificant amount of money back in 2015. If this were to come out nowadays, this would probably easily be double that. And certainly, if you were to source one of these and try and add it to your collection, these are now in the several $1,000s price range. Measurements: 15.5 inches long, 8.5 inches wide, and 7 inches tall. It does weigh several pounds as well, so make sure if you're putting this in a glass cabinet, it goes without saying. But make sure you have some extra bracing for those glass shelves. All right, let's take a look at some of the details now on this dozer. I will attempt to point them out here with my little pointer that I have. So obviously this is in the power stripe era from 2007 to around 2019. We do have a access staircase that does fold down, as I'm demonstrating right now. Here's the cat logo. The tracks are very detailed on here. I really like the way the tracks look. We actually do have a working, you can't see it because I just put the ladder in the way, but it actually does have a working idler wheel here, which does spin. You can see me spinning it with my finger. Again, here's the blade. I did mention that it is a U-Blade and a Three-Shank Ripper. We move along to the back. So here's our Ripper, and I will tell you that the shanks do not come inserted into the model. You can probably see a couple of these pins that are sticking out obnoxiously. And that's because the two pins at the end, this one went in fine, but these would not go in well for me at all by measure of full disclosure. So I was not going to force them. I was not going to hammer them in. They are just sitting there. But do note that if you don't want any Ripper shanks in, or maybe you just want one or two, then you can pretty much put it whatever way you want. The access railing, which you can't see because it's slightly out of frame. There it is. That is all metal. There's a lot of metal content on this, as you would expect from CCM. Moving along to the right side of the machine to look at some of the other details. Again, metal grab irons. You can see here's another view of the working idler wheel. Here's your large drive sprocket. Again, mostly metal, some plastic on here. Some of the smaller details that you probably won't see very well, but there are several warning labels, lights, and antenna here, which you can just barely see. We do have a few opening compartments on both sides. Both of these doors will open, and if we zoom in just a little bit, you can see what it looks like inside of those. And I'll bring you in a little bit closer if you want a really close look. There you go. And it is different on both sides. So now we're back on the left side of the machine, showing you what the engine and stuff looks like inside. You can see cat down here. And then we also do have opening cab doors. These are a little bit difficult to get open even with a pointer. But if you can get them open and to stay open, it is rewarding because the interior is beautifully replicated as well. So there's your seat, cat on the back of the seat, all your controls. I apologize about the shakiness. I'm holding the camera with one hand and yeah, trying to do this, so it's a little bit difficult to see, but there you go. Obviously, we are now at the front of the Dozer, where you can see the large U-Blade. It does raise and lower, and it will tilt as well. You just have to be a little bit careful with it. I'll show you a little bit of that right now. The cylinders are super, super stiff on here, so again, just be very careful when you are raising this up. I am not going to raise it farther than there, but just to demonstrate, it does go up, and it will tilt. There you go. My Ripper, speaking of functionality, my Ripper does not like to stay up without falling back down. I'm not sure if there's a way to pin this in the up position. I'm sure there is. Honestly, I don't know at the time that I'm filming this, but mine is, well, it likes to be in the down position. We'll just leave it at that. But again, it doesn't bother me too terribly much because, as with all of my CCM models, they are simply display pieces, so I don't really care that some of the functionality is not perhaps as good as some would want it. For me, it tends to work just fine. Finally, the last bit of functionality we've seen, just a quick recap, we've seen the blade, we've seen the Ripper, we've seen the opening engine panels, we've seen the opening cab doors, we've seen the descending staircase. Obviously, the last bit is the tracks. They will roll. Again, they will roll a lot better on a surface with friction, and to be honest with you, they seem to roll better in reverse than they do going forward. But either way, again, as a display piece, it doesn't matter too much to me. Alright, so let's bring this video to a close now. Basically, the 1/24 scale CCM Caterpillar D10T2 is, in my opinion, one of the best large track-type tractor models you can get in 1/24 scale, certainly in diecast. If you happen to own any of the newer D9s, or perhaps the D10 or the D11s rather, that came out a couple years or so ago, this is great to pose with those. Most of the functionality is acceptable, and obviously the level of detail is unmatched when it comes to a CCM piece. Yes, the price is up there, certainly now with inflation anyway, and what some of the resellers are trying to get for these models. But again, if you want a model of a D10, especially 1/24 scale, your choices at this point are somewhat limited. So whether you choose to go with this version, the U-Blade with the Three-Shank Ripper, or the Cold Blade version, certainly it will be a highlight of your collection. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If there's something I didn't cover in this video that you still have a question on, by all means, leave it down below in the comments section. Until next time, take care, be well, check out some of my other videos when you get a chance, and I'll see you in the next review.